Alright, we just got off the bus after about an hour ride. We're here at the, I don't know, welcome station. Has souvenir stand, restrooms, refreshments, and since I'm gonna video, I have to pay a $4 government fee. You can take photos only, but if you're gonna do any video, you have to pay a fee. So we're gonna go pay for that. Alright, we paid our $4 filming fee. Now I have my receipt. We have 10 minutes to use the bathroom before our tour starts, and then we're on our way. Just left the parking lot, walking a nice stone or gravel path. Assuming at some point we'll see some ruins. Here we are.
You don't? Take a picture. Yeah. You don't want any water?
I already drank it.
Yeah, I drank it back here.
Okay, señoras, señores, to all of you, welcome to Chacchoben. Chacchoben. It's a Mayan word that means place of the red cord. The name Chacchoben was given to the archaeological site by archaeologists. They named it just like the community where we are. We're in the grounds of the community of Chacchoben. Señoras, señores, as we just walked into the archaeological site. Remember, we're in the downtown of what was the ancient settlement. So we're in the area of the ruling family. When this was in use, there was no vegetation, no trees, no nada, no grass. All the ground was stuck on white. That's how the downtowns were in old times. Remember I mentioned that there are different types of constructions. So the ones that have forms of hills and mountains that have a central staircase going to the top, and the top is flat. What type of structure is it? Religious. Okay, religious. And at the top, where it's flat, notice there is evidence that there was a room at the top. That room at the top was the temple. Sometimes the flat part is just flat. There's no evidence that it has no walls, no room, because the room was made of wood. Perishable material, everything has disappeared. So remember why we visited downtown? Because all the people that lived around, they lived in structures that were made of wood, touched with palm, all perishable material, everything has disappeared. So that's why we only visit the downtown. And the people from the downtown build their structures with limestone. All this is limestone. Limestone is of a whitish color, but in this case we see that it's green, it's blackish, because it rains a lot and the moss grows on it. So that's why it stays this color, but normally it's of a whitish color. When the structures were in use, everything, all the walls had flat stones, like the ones you see here, which means that the flat stones from here are missing. All the flat stones from here are missing. And the reason is because the locals have been living here for hundreds of years. And the locals used to come to the mounds and they took stones to build their houses.
Yeah.
So we cannot get them back. And archaeologists are not permitted to bring in other stones to put it on the structure if they're not from the structure. So all these walls that should have been flat, we don't have the stones. When the structure was in use, all these flat stones were plastered. It was stuccoed. So the buildings were smooth. You really couldn't see the stone. Señores, but the jungle took over. There's no way of saving the stucco if it was covered by jungle. You can imagine when they do excavation work, when archaeologists start removing the vegetation, this was like a hill covered with jungle. So when they remove it, a lot of the stones started crumbling down. When this happens, they number all the stones to put them back. They can only place back the original stones that crumbled down. So when you come for the first time, when they have just done excavation, all the building is full of numbers of the stones that were placed back by archaeologists. Some of them will not have numbers, which means that those did not crumble down. So just do excavation. excavation work. They make tunnels, they break parts of the structure, and they go in, and they have found the walls of the older buildings buried inside. Okay, amigos? So now, try to imagine when there was a religious event going on. First, people would just stay in the area where they live, where they had where they were practicing agriculture. They would never be here. Only if they were summoned, if they were invited to come into the downtown when something important was going on, like a religious event. So when this happened, we would all be standing here. All of us would be here, just standing, looking up here, where the room was at the top, and this one had a doorway at the front and a doorway at the back. Senores, as I mentioned, only the priests and priestesses would be at the top. Common people, not a chance. But of course, if you were offered in human sacrifice, maybe you would be up there or on the altar down here. It could have been down here or up here. Who were the people that were offered in sacrifice? Many of them were chosen due to their birth dates. These people had an obsession with the count of the pass of time. Remember I said that they invented a solar calendar, 365 days, was already used in America hundreds of years before the arrival of the Europeans. Senores, they already had a numerical system. And by the way, many of you maybe remember this from school days. Senores, in America, our natives had already invented the concept of the zero. Amigos, look at the mound in front of us. Well, it's easy to tell that this is a structure that has not been excavated. The reason, money. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time. But in a way, you can have an idea how they were found. Of course, covered with jungle. Okay, so maybe if you come back here in maybe 10, 20 years, it will be excavated. Because this structure is man-made, of course, just like the one we just saw. Just have in mind that when these cities were built, these people had no metals. There were no metals in this part of America, and we have found no metals in the excavations. Have in mind that when these cities were built, senores, these people had no animals of burden. There are no animals of burden in this part of America. And there is no evidence of the use of the wheel. Probably they used the wheel, but we haven't found the evidence of it. So we cannot say that they used the wheel for transportation. So now all the stone is limestone. We have found the places where the stone was quarried and brought into the downtown to build for the ruling families and to build for the gods. Senores, these places where the stone was quarried, sometimes we don't find, bodies like ponds, we call them aguadas, where since they took out the stone, it's now hollow. And now there's water there, right? So they were used also as reservoirs of water. Senores, if they had no metals, how did they cut the limestone? Remember, some of the stones even had flat surfaces. How did they cut them? With harder stone. In this case, they use the Yabba-dabba-doo stone. What? Flint stone, senores. Of course, the young ones don't know what is Yabba-dabba-doo, right? They can tell our age with that. Well, it's flint stone that they use for cutting softer stone like limestone because there are no metals. We have found in the excavations lots of pieces of obsidian. Obsidian is a volcanic glass. It's very sharp. But we don't have volcanoes here. We don't have mountains here. So it means that obsidian was traded in from other places because the Mayans wanted obsidian. And the people of the high class would have big pieces of obsidian just to show that they could have it. Because we don't have it around here. So they traded it for them. And obsidian was used for implements of war, for their weapons. Notice? Look where people are coming down now from. And look at the wall on the left. and look at the wall on the right. What does it tell us? That this building was inside. This was already covered. That's how the jungle was. Just took over at the top, notice? But there was a building up here, and this was buried inside. So you're looking at one of the buildings that was inside. Do we get it? Now, why is this one in a better condition than the one we came from? Notice this one has all the flat stones. That one here didn't have all the flat stones. That is from 900 AD. This one is from 200 before Christ.
Dang.
Why is it in a better condition?
Less weather in between the mountains, or?
Because it was buried. There was another one at the top, so nobody took the stones from here. The locals took the stones from the last stage of construction. So that's why this one is in a better condition. And if you remove the staircase, notice there are other steps inside. Because there's another stage of construction inside.
This may be more dangerous than normal.
So all the way to the wall here, if you need to hold on. And then you can come down. You come down this wall all the way down. Okay, be careful. The lady with the green jacket, blue or what is it? Get all the way to the wall.
Grandma, I thought you were going up the easy way.
Come this way, honey. Get to the wall here. This wall is safer. Just cross. Come, continue. Just cross carefully.
Mom, you want me to take that?
And once you get to the top
I think you should.
of this first structure, there's more at the top.
Si me voy así y hago que
I mean, the one has his helmet, so he's definitely legit. See that?
This outfit feels amazing. It's like the lightest
It looks amazing.
clothing.
Yeah, like that we sat on. You see the steps?
Straighten that back.
Sir, do you want to come down and be here so that when you come you're young, you're strong.
Oh, I can go anywhere. I hike all the
So
time.
that's why I say maybe you can stand here just in case somebody needs you for their balance. Here, because you're strong. Anybody needs a hand, we have him here to help.
Oh, that's
Yep.
so nice, Tiana's boyfriend.
Okay.
That is Tiana's boyfriend.
Okay.
His name is Adam. I'm sorry, Jonah.
Walking through, senores, notice their little aisles. This is the residential area. It's a neighborhood of the ruling family. So this is where the houses were. And all that we have left are like the floors going up to the house. And the walls were normally made of wood and patched with palm. Some houses were completely made out of stone, including the roofs. So when we find that the floor is here and it's full of rumble, it means that the wall was made out of stone and some of the roofs were made out of stone. But since the jungle grew on top of it, they just collapsed. And they have not been restored by archaeologists. They just left it the way they were found. So all this here would have been another row of houses. Huh? Notice? And so these were the neighborhoods in the downtown of the ruling family. I guess you recognize those trees. What trees are those?
Spice.
Allspice. Remember the one with the smooth trunk? So now, notice where we are. We're in a kind of a courtyard surrounded by structures, but they're not all excavated. The one that we have in front of you is the one where we started. Okay, we were on the other side when we started the tour. Now we're at the back of it, but notice the back of it. It's very different because this side at the back has rooms. Notice where the central staircase is, there's a room here with the doorway. There's another one on the other side. The opening where the thatch roof is that doorway. That was opened by archaeologists for us to see that there's a wall of an older building buried inside. In that building that is inside, they found a bench. And the bench was painted with many symbols, and all those symbols are related to the sky. Señores? So we believe that maybe the place was used for astronomical observation. The symbols that they found on the bench that are related to the sky, one of the symbols was the Chacchoben, the big star. For them, that big star is what today some of us call the morning star. Then it disappears. Then it becomes the evening star. Then it disappears. Then it becomes again the morning star. That star is Venus, the planet. Señores, these people registered the movement of Nohoch-Kai, and the final result of that was the synodical calendarical cycle of Venus now we would say in relation to our Earth. They didn't know it was a planet. For them, it was just a bright star that they adored in the sky. Señores, remember, they had nothing else to do. They had a lot of spare time that they dedicated for the observation of the sky. Señores, the other symbol that we found at the bench is what we now call the constellation of Orion. Of course, Orion is one of the easiest constellations to spot out in the sky. So maybe this is where they were sharing their knowledge with the children of the ruling family.
What is it? I see a picture of you.
More are coming. They will all be passing the same way. There's another one behind us.
Oh, wow.
Es que
There's another one.